panel discussion of the day, ladies and gentlemen, which is all about transforming patient care, how global capability centers are revolutionizing healthcare and life sciences. So in this session, we will be exploring the transformative innovations and advancements driving change in the healthcare landscape within global capability centers. We'll dive deep into the significant impact of pioneering inventions and the state-of-art technological breakthroughs on patient care, medical research, and the broader healthcare sector within GCC operations. So that's our final panel discussion for the day. After which we do have the felicitations, as all of us are aware, and I'm sure all of us are looking forward to as well. But we do have a final set of thoughts that's going to stem right here at the summit. So with that, and finally, I hope all of us have put in our thoughts, shared your thoughts using hashtag ET Edge GCC Summit. For those are all thoughts online. Please go ahead, and we encourage all of you to have those conversations, drive those conversations online as well using hashtag ET Edge GCC Summit. All right. So with that, let's go ahead and invite all the speakers onto the stage. Joining us first, we have with us the head of Sanofi Global Services, Hyderabad Sanofi. We have with us Mrinal, Duggal. And let's have the round of applause. Ladies and gentlemen, this is our final panel discussion. We do have the Vice President and Head of Drug Development, Hyderabad, Bristol, Squibb. We have Mr. Nataraj, Kalyanaraman. Joining us next, we have the Global Head of Global Business Solutions and Corporate Centers for Novartis. We have Mr. Naveen, Gullapalli. Joining them, we have the Managing Director for Technology of Carelon Global Solutions India, Mr. Pawan, Sachdeva. As well as the Vice President for Global Safety for Novo Nordisk, we have Prasanna Kumar, Subbanna. And the country head for Roche Digital Center GCC, we have Raja Jamalamadaka. To moderate the session, we have Dr. Vikram, who's a partner with Deloitte India. All right, you're seated here. Okay. All right. So over to you, Dr. Vikram.
So thank you very much. One of the things Raja says is you got his name spot on. So he's in a good mood. That's a good start.
Which is an achievement, actually.
Achievement, right? So Raja, let's now that you've already taken center stage. The two things that really irk me is the term we are using here today. Global capability centers. It irks me because patient is patient, drug is drug. Wherever you deliver, however you deliver, at the end of it, there's patient safety and efficacy, which is the key. So the question to you is, why are the expectations so high from these centers? Wherever it looks like it's a one bullet that will solve every problem. Why are the expectations so high, especially in India when it comes to GCCs in our sector, which is healthcare? It's more about innovative therapies, patient care. Why are the expectations so high?
No, that's actually a great point, and I have been a head of GCCs one way or the other for the last 15 years, and this is the third GCC that I'm heading. They used to be called GICs earlier, and before that they used to be called captives, and before that back offices and all that. So I'll start a little bit from there and then come here, and probably that'll answer the question of why the expectations are high. Back in the day, 15 years ago, and some of the fellow panelists, I'm sure, should be able to relate to this point, it was all back office. So back then these conferences were not so many, but when I attended any meetings, the answer was, how do we do it in the most efficient way possible, and how do we save costs? So the conversations were all about answering the question, how do we do it? This is all that was the conversation. The KPIs were all about cost savings and all these kinds of things, and you can imagine the expectations are bound to be low in this kind of an organization. 10 years back, around that particular time frame, the paradigm shifted from these back offices a little bit more to GICs and all that. And that time, the headquarters, if you like, wasn't just interested in how do you fix it. You guys are good at it. You can do it. You figure it out. Now tell us, what are you going to do to meet the goals, instead of just talking about how are you going to do it, etc. The paradigm changed. Now it went a little bit to what, not just how. The moment it went to what, it is about what initiatives you come up with, those kinds of things. The KPI shifted from just cost savings to P&L reports. All those kinds of things started taking center stage. With the P&L report, income statement, some of those kinds of things came. The KPIs changed, the thought process changed, the culture changed. and the term called resource started coming. What resources, how many resources I never heard the word talent at that particular point. Resource is all I used to hear. Cut it to this particular day, GCCs came in 2017-18. I saw this particular term take center stage and all that. And at this particular point, the question changed to why are you there? There's an organization that exists, and why? First answer the question why before you talk about what you do and forget about how. We know that you can do it very well. Expectations grew even more, and now it was not income statement, it went to balance sheet. It's not about saving. It's about talk about patents, talk about copyrights, talk about what you're doing in terms of the balance sheet and all that. Assets, what value are you generating anymore? And from resource, the conversation shifted to talent. And you can see in today's the panels during the day, talent. I saw nobody talk about resources actually. Welcome change compared to the meetings I used to attend years ago. So each time this changes from how to what to why, the expectations grow. And to your point, why are we even called a GCC? Now the question that you asked right now, now a new question has started coming. Back in the day, nobody asked why GSE and why back office and all that. It was assumed this is right. So when you go to why, you go to the higher plane completely, and then transformation starts. You have global roles here and all that, and expectations increase. So expectations increase at the parent organization. They are bound to increase within. Now whether you call it GCCs or no, I won't get into that particular one. Expectations increase. And I think coincidentally, that is very nicely mirrored in the back. Someone like me is a squiggle, how at the bottom you can't even see it actually. This is the 15-year-old story, and then the moderator looks like the what, little better seen, etc. And the 4 here are the wise. Very high, very prominent center stage, and the expectations have increased. I don't know who designed it. It looks like this guy knew before us what we're going to talk actually. So this answers it better than what I summarized in 4 minutes. So hopefully that answered the question actually.
Yeah, it more than answers. And I was going to pull your mic off because you're going to talk about photographs and why you are looking younger than you are. That is a debatable question. But just hold your thought.
When you answer why you look young, when you do not, then it's a different thing altogether. Thank you.
Photoshopped. Great. But, on a serious note, I did some math. We are Deloitte. We are supposed to be good at calculations. We have almost 200 person years of experience here, right? And there's collective wisdom of a lot of people. So I'm going to start with pulling some of that wisdom out. Now that, Raja, you've pretty much set the tone, let me put Pawan on the spot. Pawan, you're a veteran too. GCC, Capability Center.
I got it.
Yeah, before you go
Message delivered to you. So,
I didn't want to start the earlier discussion. So how have you, if the priorities have changed, and all of us agree they have changed, so how are you changing your priorities to meet those expectations, right? Yeah. What are the changes you made?
See, first of all, we need to understand within healthcare what is changing and why it is changing. That why is very important in my point of view. See, your medical expense ratio, not only in India, but across the globe, being it US, being it Europe, being it Asia, larger Asia, everywhere your medical expenses are growing up. That puts all healthcare companies on the spot to see how we can contribute, what we can do different. To me, that's the reason why these outcomes and priorities are changing. So biggest priority which is changing is personalization in healthcare. Okay, as I'm spending so much, I expect some personalized information coming to me rather than a blanket letter which is going to all members across. Okay. Second thing is what value I am getting. What is the value-added services? And again, it's not only for healthcare, but across the industries, people are expecting value-added services. And within healthcare, what is the value-added services? Let's say I go to a doctor, I go to hospital. Doctor is seeing 100 members or 100 patients in a day. What is the incentive for doctor to pay attention to me as an individual and give a better care? So that is their model is changing overall. It's more value-based care, which means contracts with insurance companies, which they are doing with providers, being it doctors or hospitals, are very different than what it used to be. It's not the quantity. Okay, you saw 100 patients in a day, you will get a fixed amount. No. Out of 100 patients, where you provided a value. And there are various drivers to see how value has been delivered. What is your readmission rate? What is your cost of treatment when you submitted it? Let's say there is a need of just X-ray, but you end up doing MRI. You are increasing the cost unnecessary. Okay, so there is a lot of engine. And then coming to what we are doing as an technology arm. So we are enabling all those functions, enabling all those features for the larger healthcare ecosystem to add a value, to make it more personalized for members. And then at the same time, enabling digital. And then I won't get into AI. That's a buzzword in healthcare. But then these are the three things which are making a big difference in healthcare.
Thanks, Pawan. Thank God you didn't go with the magical
Otherwise
word,
you'll kill me.
the other magic mantra in our world today. But let me go to Naveen. Naveen, it is no secret that life sciences in Hyderabad is before Novartis and after Novartis, right? Rough calculations, 20% of most centers have affiliated to Novartis. We had a Novartis alumni meet just outside, where either people were in Novartis or just out of Novartis. And some of the people on the panel are ex-Novartis. So
And I and Prasanna witnessed that. We had to move out of that.
we had to move out. All of us had to move out who were not Novartis. But I mean, the point is, what are some of the emerging trends you're seeing because of this? Because you've seen this evolve in front of you. What are you seeing from your perspective?
Yeah, Vikram, thanks. Certainly, Novartis has been here for more than 15 years. In fact, we came to India mainly because we believe in the talent story. We really believe in the demographic dividend of India and for time to come, for decades to come, really. So that's one. Two, of course, we're seeing now, we're experiencing a generation and multiple generations, including me, that haven't seen recession in the last 20 years. So most of our workforce is this young workforce that is full of optimism, full of growth and energy sharing culture. So the environment itself is really very productive and high performance in nature. And third, of course, you add the digital skills and how digital is transforming our life in this country. So all of that together, as you know, we consume the most amount of data in the whole world on a per capita basis. Add all of this and you have the ingredients for something that's really valuable for the enterprise. So the expectations for us in this context, and our CEO is very clear, Vas, when he was here earlier this year, he said our ambition is to become the transformation center for the enterprise. And we always refer to it as a Novartis India. So in India, we want Novartis and the talent of Novartis to really drive enterprise-wide transformation, backed by the skills we have, the environment we have, and the digital technology and all capabilities that we have, right? For me, that is the number one goal. Second, I would say is then be the talent magnet and talent feeder into the enterprise. We have a lot of our colleagues moving into markets or working from here for the markets or working here doing enterprise roles. So it's really a way to take the talent from the market and capture it for the benefit of the company. So that's the expectations, I would say, broadly, twofold.
Great, Naveen. I mean, nothing less expected from Novartis. If I heard the term correctly, you said Novartis in India, which is very similar to what we use in Deloitte. We say Deloitte in India, which is a good way of saying what is our combined strength. Let me take a step, I will say step left and go to Nataraj. Nataraj, you've been in drug discovery, both in the US and Switzerland, and now you're here in Hyderabad. I see drug discovery as a very integral part of the entire ecosystem because you are the originator of everything else that kind of comes into the value chain. And I see a lot of engineering, which is integrated now typically. You know, we had in the olden days in India, we had doctors and engineers. Now I think that paradigm is going away. We have engineering in medicine, we have engineering in drug discovery. How does this high engineering world, which is a high tech world, merge with what I call as a high touch world of healthcare? Where do those mergers happen?
Yeah, excellent question. So it's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for organizing a great panel. I think this is a fantastic topic for us to discuss. So, I think you teed it up really nicely, right? So if I take a step back and, I think, Pawan, you illustrated one of the broader elements in healthcare in terms of care delivery. I think there's, from a pharma sector perspective, like something that we spend a lot of time thinking about is we're living in an age where the scientific innovation is incredible, right? So we've got new modalities coming all the time, mRNA vaccine, cell therapy, gene therapy, et cetera. And as a company, we feel like we have an obligation to ensure that those modalities, those new therapies can get to the patients as fast as possible, right? So fundamentally, as a company, our North Star is how do we get more medicines to more patients faster? Very simple. So when we think about BMS Hyderabad, fundamentally that's like a North Star for us as well, right? How do we enable the company to get more medicines to more patients faster? And I think you teed it up very nicely in that one way we think we can do that effectively is on the intersection of science and technology, right? So if you think about healthcare as a sector, I think that, relative to some of the other sectors, perhaps because we're heavily regulated, the adoption of technology has not been at the same pace as some of the other sectors. Having said that, I think in the last few years, we're getting to sort of this pivotal point where you can start to see that pace change substantially. And even the way we operate, right? So we have a large technology organization, we have a large drug development organization. Literally, we sit on one floor. We co-locate, so there's an opportunity to sort of interact very effectively. And some of the areas that we're looking at, so one is around accelerating clinical trials. So currently, on median, it takes about 9 years or so to go from when a molecule gets to the clinic to the time it's approved. And we want to shave about 2.5 years from that process. And so we feel like fundamentally digitizing elements of it, using things like wearables in the process, how we think about, I know it's a hype term, Gen AI, how we think about writing documents in a much more effective manner. I think those are all significant levers for how we can accelerate our clinical trials. And then we also look at it from the perspective of once we have something approved, how can we think about the commercialization model, right? We're no longer living in the age where you need to have a large sales force calling on physicians, right? How can we do that more effectively using technology and building technology skill sets for that, as well as once we think about patient care, right, there's a role for things like digital therapeutics, and so we heavily invested in those areas. So a lot of those sorts of skill sets we're looking to build. I mean, there's no better place to do that than India for all the, some of the reasons that Naveen was speaking to, right? And so I think fundamentally we think that there's a potential for paradigm shift, and so we look to play a really substantial role in moving that forward.
Excellent, great to hear that. I mean, if you can take 2.5 years off drug discovery, you will probably change the face of healthcare. I mean, we did that during COVID, there was emergency use.
Precisely.
So it can be done.
Can be done.
We know it can be done, but it's just doing it on a scale across, I don't know how many molecules that go up for these kind of certifications.
Precisely. The whole idea is like, can you scale the sense of urgency that you had during COVID?
Absolutely. Great. So let me take that topic slightly further to you, Mrinal. And first of all, congratulations on the new Sanofi hub. We really love the vibrant pictures on LinkedIn. And I think I was not the only one. Everybody loves it. The kind of engagement you have done, the leadership that has come from the organization to the hub, is phenomenal. So how, I know we discussed your roadmap slightly and what you intend to do. How do you develop this entire paradigm, right? What Raja said to what Pawan said about care, to what Naveen's idea was talent, and then drug discovery. And if the challenge is 2.5 years, how do you create that high performance team, which is looking at patient care and patient excellence as part of the organization?
Thanks for the question, and I think Naveen covered a lot of points what I wanted to say, so I'll just build on that. The first thing is to connect the talent to the vision of the organization. That's very important, and for that, multiple awareness sessions, multiple education sessions you need to do, talk about it every now and then. But that's one part. I think I'll also like to cover and then move to this answer what Raja was saying initially. The expectations, why they're high for India, because it's India, no longer India is a destination for cost savings. It's a destination for talent, which means that the expectations are already high, that this is the place that provides the talents, So if you go to a place in Eastern Europe, you would not find what you want to find for the organization to grow. So that's why the expectations are high here. We have 1,800 GCCs now. I think the GCC capital of the world is what I read in last week's NASSCOM report, and that's why the expectations are high. Also from a talent perspective, I think it's not just what do the organizations want from the talent, it's also the other way around. What is the value proposition for the talent? So for some, it could be as simple as, I just need to work from home. and I'll do my best. Or for some, it could be recognition, it could be growth, development. So, that understanding of what the talent requires is important to grow an organization. And we are working a lot on that, and one part of that is talking about it on social media, so and reflecting that. But at the end, bringing everyone to that one goal is very important, and engaging with the people. I also read somewhere, the and we are practicing that quite often, is the psychological safety. So if the I'll start saying people now instead of talent. So if the people feel safe, that's when they can start taking those thoughtful risks and performing well. So that's how I see it, and that's what we've been doing.
That's an excellent segue because I was going to ask this to starting with Naveen, but I want to come to Prasanna after that. Naveen, we talk a lot about people, talent, resource to begin with, and now talent, now people, and giving them the safe place to take risks, etc. Given that you've been around 15 years with Novartis, leading the show in life sciences here, what is your personal philosophy on innovation?
Right. I think fundamentally, if you look at all the great companies in this panel, we're all innovative companies, right? Companies that have in the DNA innovation, right? So we have a life cycle of finding miracles, cures that don't exist today, and those cures are not exclusive beyond a point. So you have to keep on innovating, right? And we are, certainly for Novartis, this is the largest location of people-wise, so largest human resource for our company. And I'm sure it's going to be similar for all the companies. These companies together probably are responsible for half the innovations in healthcare that come out. The rest are somewhere in Bangalore. They're all in India. Right. So if we don't innovate, we don't have a level playing field within Novartis. So it's very fundamental for us that we have the authority and the ability to actually drive innovation. Now we have to be realistic as well. This is a vision. And our people, we have great operational and bare technology. The application of it and evolution and kind of basic research are where we don't have those skills yet. But if you look 10 years back, we didn't have many of these skills as well. So I think we are getting there, and we have a lot of potential. So our belief, to your point, personal belief is, one of the strengths of India, when I mentioned digital, is also about the startup ecosystem we have, second largest. And we are solving a lot of problems, both for enterprises and in day-to-day life. So this entrepreneurship, intrapreneurship, which we can exhibit within the company, the cost of innovation, the speed, and the culture, all of this is a great formula to have internal startups. We've seen a lot of accelerators. We've seen T-hubs and this kind of environments as well, incubators around us. So we bring a lot of these assets to the company. It's a journey. And I think we must absolutely innovate to have the same place within the organization table as today, right?
Thanks, Naveen. That's interesting. But Prasanna, now the tough part. Nataraj says 2.5 years he's going to shave off. Naveen says he's going to use startups, T-Hub, speed, thought, which is excellent. How do you balance that with regulation? You have CGMP, GXP, GLP, GCP, CSV, I can go on. And that is just FDA. Then there's Europe, and then there's the rest of the world. So how do you balance innovation and regulation? I think it's the toughest ask anybody who's dealt with this industry.
I think that's a very good question, Vikram. I think Nataraj mentioned it very nicely. I think the why part, why we need innovation, is very clear. End of the day, the patients, they have to get the benefit. That part is very clear. And especially especially post-COVID, or what we have learned from the COVID situation, I don't think it's acceptable to take 9 years to convert an idea into a marketed product. I would even say, is it even ethical to actually take so much time to develop a product? But at the same time, I think we should also understand the fact that the role of innovators and regulators are different. By design, it's regulators' responsibility to keep those checks and balances. I don't think they are going to change their stance overnight. The way I see, it's going to be kind of like 2 steps forward, 1 step backward. So the innovation and regulations, they will move forward. But one of the things is, of course, very clearly, Nataraj also called out, technology is going to play a big role in this. More than that, I think it's the risk-based approach. I think all of us in our organizations, we are talking about risk-based approach. So because not everything is set in stone in regulations. So there is actually scope for experimentation. So maybe I think we'll have to experiment in areas where the risk is low for patients. And if those experiments succeed, maybe I think regulators will become more comfortable with the technologies. So I would say I think these are the 2 things. So one, this is going to be kind of a forward-backward movement. So there will be experimentation happening in a risk-based approach, and the technology adoption will become much more faster going forward.
Excellent. So what you're saying is that regulations are guidelines, but there is a scope for experimentation, but that comes back to our talent then again, that there should be people enough who understand the regulation, understand the limit, understand where patient safety gets compromised, and then we can probably run a series of experiments. So let me...
in fact, if I can add one
I was
point,
going to come to you. How did you know I was going to come to you?
Exactly, because I'm at the bottom, so people at the bottom quickly figure out, like she said, talent at the bottom knows the leaders better than the other way around, so at the bottom I figured out actually. So to your point, I think innovation and regulation, it's a myth to assume that one is a trouble for the other. Actually, the 2 coexist, and true innovation without regulation is not at all innovation. It could be a monster in disguise actually, because at the wrong point, it just explodes in the face. We've had a lot of examples of this kind with unethical, and you use the term correctly, usage of AI in certain spaces that I want to talk about. I don't want to talk about in this panel. So the presence of regulators ensures that yes, it's 2 steps forward, 1 step back, but that 1 step back is often with the ultimate positive intention of ensuring that what comes out is for the greater good of humanity. I think the 2 then need to coexist, and I think the 2 being present together, especially in an area like healthcare, which is sensitive, dealing with patient lives, I think it's a very symbiotic relationship in the grand scheme of things. It doesn't appear that way with that step going back, but in the grand scheme of things, I think it's a fairly symbiotic relationship.
Excellent. That's a great point.
Example here.
Yeah.
Quick example from healthcare again. See, as he rightly said, Prasanna, risk. If we did the lesser risk, regulators will also be okay. Like for example, if I am denying a claim or prior approval or authorization for a member, it's a higher risk. But if I am approving, there is no risk, which means by leveraging technology, I can approve the claim. By leveraging technology, I cannot reject the claim. For rejection, I need to have human in the loop. But for approval, nobody is asking a question. As far as you are approving, I submitted a claim, I wanted it to be approved, it got approved quickly, everybody is happy. So that is where you can leverage technology and make an incremental progress that the regulators are happy and your larger community is happy.
Excellent. So I thought we have 4 minutes left. I intend to finish on time. Just one quick segment, top priorities for the year for each one of you, right? And please try to be original. You will go last, so.
Thank you very much, actually. Again, you've proven bottom always is the last, but then it always makes the last comment. Maybe the leader can...
Last but not the least. Yes,
absolutely.
And I think for us, it's the talent management, developing the talent. There are always new capabilities that we're looking for, so find the right talent there. So it's all about talent, at the end of the day.
Yeah, for us, so BMS has been in Hyderabad for about a year and 3 or 4 months right now, right? So we're relatively new here. I think there's a number of things we've already addressed, if you will, right? So I think we know we can attract great talent. I think great talent exists here already. I think we know that, we can put people together, they can come up with the right kinds of ideas. I think really the focus for us is like, how do we maximize the value? Like, how do we, whether it's psychological safety, whether it's the ability to kind of take some of the shackles off, like through regulation, how do we allow the folks we've hired to really flourish here and come up with new ideas? Because I truly believe that, a lot of the innovation that we will see moving forward, certainly India will have a really strong role to play in that, right? And so let's make sure that we allow for the folks that have come on board to be able to actually iterate and innovate in that regard.
Sure. Naveen?
Yeah, at Novartis, I think we are looking to drive more enterprise leadership from here. A lot of functions and a lot of activities are solely done here. And we need our leaders to drive fresh outcomes, drive creative outcomes, and be extremely competitive in the marketplace as well. So for me, it's about enterprise leadership, having more and more leaders develop and grow here.
Excellent. Pawan?
For it is basically moving from incremental innovation, which we have been doing from last 5-6 years, to leading some transformation by leveraging the Indian ecosystem, by leveraging larger ecosystem which we have, and platforms like this. So that's one of our top priority.
Excellent. Prasanna?
I think along with Novartis, we have been in the market for quite some time now, almost like 17, 18 years of journey. I think the expectations are also very different now. I think maybe next few years, our expectation is push the boundaries wherever possible. So it could be in regulations, it could be in development, it could be, say, a technology, push the boundaries wherever possible.
Excellent. Raja?
Our tagline captures our expectations very well. Doing now what patients need next. If what patients need next is known, I don't think that needs to be told. We have to do now. In order to do that, we need the innovations. To have the innovations, you need to have the right culture. Either innovation is a one-off thing, very difficult to do, or it's cultural, it's embedded in the DNA itself. And that comes with all the wonderful points that you mentioned, whether it's the leadership, or you have the structures, or the talent that you so nicely put, etc. So it's about doing now what patients need next. It's the same at the headquarters, it's the same here, because to your last point where we started, we are not a GCC, we are part of the parent organization.
Absolutely.
And we round it off where we started the whole thing from.
Absolutely. Circle of life.
And then exactly, and it comes back always to the same point.
So excellent thoughts, talent, unlocking value, enterprise leadership, transformational change, innovation, pushing the boundaries of innovation, and what patients think next, you will do it now. Absolutely brilliant. So thank you very much for your time. Do we have questions, or we have 20 seconds? I intend to use every second that I'm on. Arish, you have a question? You raise your hand like this. You said
Our
it's enough.
silence answered his question, actually. So sometimes silence is golden.
No, he had a question for Pawan, which he's going to take offline. They work in the same firm. So, any questions from anybody? I think you intimidated them.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, everybody.